The story begins not in deep space or in some distant desert, but in the skies above Earth, on board a U.S. Army Blackhawk helicopter. For decades, military aviators have reported encounters with unidentified flying objects, strange crafts that defy explanation, yet evidence has always been blurry, incomplete, or shrouded in secrecy. But now, a soldier has released what many are calling the clearest video ever taken of a UFO from a Blackhawk. And unlike grainy photographs or hearsay, this footage is sharp, detailed, and unsettling. The video shows the helicopter cruising on a standard training mission. The horizon is stable, the night vision camera capturing the cool glow of the Earth below. Then, suddenly, a bright object appears in the distance. At first it seems like a star or perhaps another aircraft, but within seconds it becomes clear that it is neither. The object darts across the sky with incredible speed, stopping in midair and changing direction at angles no conventional aircraft can achieve. The soldier filming can be heard reacting with disbelief, his voice steady but shocked. "That's no drone," he mutters. The footage zooms in, and the object comes into focus, a luminous orb, shifting in brightness, its edges sharp yet hazy, as though wrapped in a field of energy. Unlike aircraft, it emits no sound, no heat signature, and no navigation lights. For a moment, it hovers close enough to the Blackhawk that its size becomes clear. It is large, metallic, and moving with intelligence. What makes the footage remarkable is not only the clarity of the image, but also the corroboration. Radar logs from the Blackhawk confirmed an unknown object in the area, traveling at speeds far exceeding what military jets could match. Attempts to radio the object received no response. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the craft accelerated upward into the night sky and vanished from view, leaving behind no trace but the video itself. Experts who have reviewed the footage are divided. Some insist it must be advanced drone technology, possibly foreign. But others point out the impossibility of its movements. No drone known to the military can hover silently at those altitudes, then accelerate to hypersonic speeds without producing a shockwave. The energy required would be immense, beyond the capabilities of even classified human technology. For UFO researchers, the video is a breakthrough. For skeptics, it is a problem. How to explain something so clear, so undeniable, captured by trained military personnel using equipment designed to track aircraft. For the public, it is another piece in a growing puzzle. Reports of strange craft tracked by Navy pilots, confirmed by the Pentagon, and now witnessed from the cockpit of a Blackhawk. The soldier who released the footage did so at great personal risk, aware that speaking openly about UFOs in the military often leads to ridicule or worse. Yet he believed the world deserved to see what he and his crew had witnessed. His testimony matches the footage. It was there. It was real, and it was not ours. This raises the ultimate question: what are we really seeing? Is this evidence of foreign technology kept secret from the public? Or is it something far more profound, something not of this earth at all? The Blackhawk UFO video has no easy answers, only chilling clarity. And perhaps that is what makes it so powerful. For the first time, we are not left with blurry images or stories passed in whispers. We are staring at a clear record of the impossible, captured by those sworn to defend the skies. The truth is no longer out of reach. It is here, circling above us, waiting for us to accept that we are not alone. The soldiers' release of the Blackhawk UFO video sparked a storm that rippled far beyond the cockpit where it was captured. Within hours of surfacing online, the footage began spreading across social media, then into mainstream news outlets. Unlike countless shaky cell phone clips or distant lights in the sky, this recording carried the weight of credibility. It was filmed on advanced military-grade equipment by a trained observer whose job required precision, discipline, and calm under pressure. To many, that credibility made the footage impossible to ignore. To others, it made it even more unsettling. The video showed a craft that defied everything we know about aeronautics. Military pilots are trained to identify threats instantly, to tell a drone from a jet, a balloon from a satellite, often with only seconds to react. And yet, here was a soldier, an aviator on board a Blackhawk, capturing something that did not fit into any category. The object hovered like it was weightless, then darted sideways at speeds no helicopter or fighter could match. What struck analysts most was its lack of propulsion. No jet stream, no rotor wash, no visible exhaust. It moved as though it were free from the laws of physics themselves. When the footage first appeared, speculation grew quickly. Some insisted it had to be a foreign drone, a secret prototype developed by rival nations. The idea was alarming but easier to digest than the alternative, that the object was not human, made at all. But critics of the drone theory pointed out that no drone could perform such maneuvers without tearing itself apart. The abrupt 90-degree turns, the acceleration that left no sonic boom, and the eerie silence all pointed toward something entirely outside human engineering. The soldier who leaked the footage provided context in his testimony. He described the UFO as not only visible through night vision optics but also tracked on radar. The Blackhawk's onboard systems picked up a return, confirming a solid object. It was not a reflection, not a glitch, not a trick of light. "We had it on scope," he said. "We had it in our eyes. That was no drone." He also recalled how the object seemed aware of the helicopter, hovering just close enough to observe without colliding, almost like it was studying them in return. That sense of intelligence, deliberate movement, purposeful hovering, was what haunted him most. The military's response to the video was as predictable as it was vague. Officials neither confirmed nor denied the footage's authenticity, simply stating that the incident is under review. That phrase, familiar from past UFO disclosures, did little to calm the public. If anything, it amplified suspicion. If this were truly nothing but a drone or a weather balloon, why the secrecy? Why not dismiss it outright? Silence, many argued, was an answer in itself. Experts outside government began weighing in. Aviators, engineers, and physicists analyzed the footage frame by frame. Some noted the object's glow seemed to fluctuate in sync with its movement, as if it were powered by a field of energy rather than traditional engines. Others observed how it appeared to distort the air around it, bending light in subtle ways that suggested gravitational or electromagnetic manipulation. If true, the craft was not just advanced. It was operating on principles humans barely understand. For the public, the release felt like another piece of a growing puzzle. In recent years, Pentagon reports had acknowledged the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena, admitting that dozens of encounters recorded by military pilots had no explanation. Navy videos of tic-tac UFOs had already shocked the world, showing objects performing similarly impossible maneuvers. Now, with a Blackhawk recording added to the evidence, the idea that these encounters were isolated incidents was impossible to sustain. Something consistent, intelligent, and highly advanced was operating in Earth's skies. For the soldier, the decision to release the footage came with risk. Military whistleblowers often face consequences from career-ending reprimands to legal pressure. Yet he insisted the world deserved to see what he had seen. "If I stayed quiet, it would be just another classified file gathering dust," he explained. "But this is real. People should know." His words carried the weary conviction of someone who had witnessed the impossible and could no longer keep it locked away. And so, the Blackhawk UFO video became more than a clip. It became a catalyst. It reignited debates about secrecy, transparency, and humanity's place in the universe. It forced experts, skeptics, and believers alike to grapple with the possibility that the skies above us are not ours alone. The haunting question remains, what was that craft doing there, shadowing a military helicopter in controlled airspace? Observation, testing, or something far stranger? The footage provides no answers, only undeniable proof that something is out there, watching. The release of the Blackhawk UFO video sent ripples through the military establishment in ways the public could barely imagine. Inside secure conference rooms and intelligence briefings, officials found themselves in a familiar but increasingly uncomfortable position, trying to contain a story that had already escaped their control. Unlike grainy cell phone footage from civilians, this recording was taken from a U.S. Army helicopter using military optics and corroborated by radar returns. That credibility made it nearly impossible to dismiss. The footage had weight, and the soldiers' testimony gave it a voice. Behind the scenes, investigations began almost immediately. Intelligence officers pored over the radar logs, flight data, and communications recorded during the Blackhawk mission. They cross-checked the object's position with civilian air traffic control, satellite monitoring, and nearby radar stations. The results only deepened the mystery. No official flight plans matched the object. No friendly drones or classified craft were operating in the area at that time, and no foreign power claimed responsibility for any test flights. The skies had been officially empty, yet something was undeniably there. For the Pentagon, this was not just a curiosity. It was a national security issue. An unidentified craft capable of maneuvering silently around a military helicopter at speeds beyond conventional physics raised questions about vulnerability. If it was foreign technology, it meant America's adversaries had leapt centuries ahead in engineering. If it was not foreign, then the implications were far stranger and even more unsettling. That left the military caught between two fears, the fear of exposure and the fear of the unknown. Publicly, officials gave the standard response: "The incident is under review." Privately, they scrambled. Meetings between the Department of Defense and intelligence agencies debated how much to reveal. Some argued for transparency, citing growing public pressure after the Pentagon's own acknowledgement of unidentified aerial phenomena in recent years. Others insisted secrecy must be maintained to avoid panic, prevent adversaries from exploiting the information, and protect classified detection methods. The Blackhawk video became a flashpoint in an already simmering debate about UFO disclosure. Meanwhile, within the ranks, word spread quickly. Pilots and soldiers began sharing their own encounters, emboldened by the leak. Stories emerged of strange lights pacing helicopters, objects appearing on radar only to vanish, and close calls where pilots thought they might collide with something invisible. Many had stayed silent for years, fearing ridicule or reprimand. Now, with undeniable footage in the public domain, they began to speak out. The sense grew that the Blackhawk video was not an anomaly, but part of a larger pattern. Outside the military, the video galvanized the disclosure movement. UFO researchers, who had long been dismissed as fringe, suddenly found themselves being taken seriously. Journalists dug into past military reports, discovering that incidents like this had been quietly cataloged for decades. Congressional committees, already pressing the Pentagon for more transparency, began citing the Blackhawk case as evidence that secrecy could no longer be justified. For the first time, momentum was on the side of disclosure. But secrecy dies hard. Some officials floated alternative explanations, suggesting the object might have been a classified American drone. Yet this explanation raised more questions than it answered. Why test such technology so close to a military helicopter, risking a collision? Why not brief the pilots beforehand? And why deny it afterward? The classified drone theory failed to satisfy, and the silence that followed only reinforced the suspicion that the truth was stranger still. The soldier who released the video became a controversial figure. To some, he was a hero, bravely risking his career to reveal the truth. To others in the chain of command, he was reckless, undermining military discipline and exposing sensitive operations. He faced interrogation, his motives questioned, his loyalty scrutinized. But no matter how much pressure was applied, the footage remained undeniable. Attempts to discredit him only drew more attention to the video. As debates raged, one chilling fact hung over every conversation. The UFO in the video had shown intelligence. It had approached the Blackhawk, hovered nearby, and then departed at impossible speed. That was not random movement. It was deliberate. And deliberate meant controlled. The question haunting everyone from generals to ordinary citizens was simple: controlled by whom? The Blackhawk video had changed the game. It was no longer just about strange lights in the sky or rumors from pilots. It was about undeniable evidence recorded by the military itself, evidence that pointed to something powerful, advanced, and unknown. Behind closed doors, governments wrestled with the same questions that the public now shouted openly. Are we dealing with foreign adversaries? Are we facing something not of this earth? And most unsettling of all, if they are here, what do they want? The Blackhawk UFO video didn't just stay within military channels or UFO research communities. It erupted into mainstream culture like a spark hitting dry grass. Once the footage hit social media, it became impossible to ignore. News stations replayed the clip, commentators debated its implications, and late-night hosts joked nervously about alien air traffic controllers. What separated this case from countless UFO sightings in the past was its clarity and credibility. This wasn't a shaky phone camera recording a distant light. It was crisp military footage, taken by a soldier in a U.S. Army Blackhawk, corroborated by radar data. That combination pushed the story from fringe interest into the heart of global discussion. The media frenzy was immediate. Within days, the footage had been dissected frame by frame on cable news and digital platforms. Analysts highlighted the object's movements, hovering in complete silence, darting sideways without inertia, accelerating to impossible speeds without a sonic boom. Aviation experts were interviewed, most refusing to commit to the alien explanation but admitting that no known aircraft behaved this way. Others speculated about classified drones or experimental propulsion systems, but even their voices carried uncertainty. The clip didn't fit any of the usual boxes, and audiences could sense it. For the general public, the reaction split into two camps. One group responded with awe and excitement, thrilled at the idea that this could finally be proof of extraterrestrial contact. Forums filled with theories about visitors watching over Earth, perhaps even protecting or studying humanity. The other camp reacted with fear. If something so advanced could hover inches from a military helicopter and leave without a trace, then humanity was defenseless. For these people, the video wasn't hopeful. It was chilling. Religious groups weighed in as well. Some saw the footage as validation of long-held beliefs about angels, watchers, or prophetic signs. Others called it demonic deception, warning their followers not to mistake alien craft for divine beings. The blending of theology and technology created a wave of sermons, podcasts, and essays, all interpreting the Blackhawk encounter through spiritual lenses. Globally, the video triggered conversations that reached beyond America's borders. In Europe, governments, already pushing for UFO transparency, used the case as leverage, pointing out that if U.S. soldiers were encountering these objects, then other militaries likely were too. In South America, where pilots had long reported strange aerial encounters, the footage was treated as vindication. Even in countries with strict censorship, snippets of the video leaked into online spaces, sparking debates about secrecy and sovereignty in the skies. Pop culture quickly latched onto the story. Documentaries rushed into production, streaming platforms began commissioning specials, and conspiracy theorists flooded YouTube with breakdowns claiming the Blackhawk UFO was just one of many sightings hidden by military cover-ups. Memes, artwork, and speculative fiction followed, embedding the video in global consciousness. It wasn't just a news item. It became a cultural moment, a touchstone for how humanity talks about the unknown. Meanwhile, pressure on the U.S. government grew. Every press briefing was met with questions. What did the Pentagon know? Was the object a threat? Could it be Russian or Chinese technology? Officials stuck to vague answers, but their reluctance only made suspicion worse. Congressional committees already pressing for UFO transparency now had fresh ammunition. Lawmakers began citing the Blackhawk footage as evidence that the public had a right to know what the government was hiding. The incident became part of a larger movement demanding disclosure, turning what once was dismissed as conspiracy into a legitimate political debate. What made the video most transformative, however, was its effect on ordinary people. For decades, UFOs were dismissed as myths, the realm of eccentrics and dreamers. But this footage, filmed by soldiers trained to identify threats, shifted perception. Coffee shop conversations, workplace debates, and dinner table discussions suddenly included serious talk about extraterrestrials. Parents showed the clip to their children, trying to explain what it might mean. The stigma that had long surrounded UFOs began to erode. What was once fringe was now mainstream. Still, the cultural shift carried unease. If the skies could no longer be trusted as human territory, then nothing felt secure. The Blackhawk UFO video reminded everyone that even the best, trained military pilots, flying advanced helicopters, could be reduced to stunned witnesses by something unknown. Humanity, for all its technology and power, was not in control of its own skies. That realization rippled beneath the excitement, sparking a quiet collective anxiety. In the end, the Blackhawk UFO footage became more than evidence. It became a mirror, forcing humanity to see itself not as the masters of Earth, but as possible observers of something far greater. Whether that something was a rival superpower's invention, a visitor from another world, or something stranger still, the cultural impact was undeniable. The conversation about UFOs had left the shadows and stepped into the light. And from that moment forward, it could not be pushed back again. The Blackhawk UFO footage didn't just shock the public. It planted a seed that is already reshaping how humanity thinks about itself, its security, and its future. For decades, the question of UFOs, or UAPs as governments now call them, lurked in the background of culture. Whispers, rumors, blurry photographs, shaky videos. But what set this case apart was clarity and credibility. A soldier on duty using military-grade optics captured something no one could easily dismiss. That makes this video not just another sighting, but a turning point. Its long-term implications reach far beyond one helicopter flight. The first impact is on disclosure. The video intensified pressure on governments to be transparent about what they know. Congressional hearings in the U.S. had already begun probing military encounters with unidentified objects, but the Blackhawk footage added urgency. Lawmakers cited it as proof that these incidents are ongoing, undeniable, and potentially dangerous. Calls for declassification of UFO files grew louder, not just in America but around the world. If one soldier could leak a video like this, what else is hidden in classified archives? The public is no longer satisfied with vague phrases like "under investigation." People want answers, and the Blackhawk case ensures they won't stop asking. The second impact falls on military policy. The video highlighted a frightening truth. Even the most advanced aircraft can be shadowed by objects beyond known human capability. That forces militaries to reconsider how they train pilots, how they log encounters, and how they assess threats. For years, many aviators stayed silent about UFOs to avoid ridicule. Now, with evidence mounting, silence is no longer an option. Already, there are reports of updated protocols, pilots encouraged to record encounters, radar operators told to flag anomalies, and intelligence branches tasked with cataloging data. The Blackhawk incident may mark the moment when unidentified aerial phenomena moved from taboo to a legitimate defense concern, but the implications stretch further still. If the object was not foreign technology, then humanity must face the possibility that something else is operating in our skies. That realization changes everything: our science, our culture, even our identity as a species. Imagine a child growing up in a world where UFOs are no longer laughed at but studied seriously, where the assumption that humans are alone in the universe is gone. That cultural shift has already begun. Universities are discussing new fields of study. Scientists are re-examining old data with fresh eyes. And ordinary people, once skeptical, now share the Blackhawk video as a touchstone for a new reality. The footage also forces us to confront deeper philosophical questions. If these objects are truly not ours, then who do they belong to? Are they visitors from beyond Earth, or are they something more enigmatic? Beings from parallel dimensions, time travelers, or ancient watchers who have always been here? The Blackhawk video doesn't answer these questions, but it makes them unavoidable. Humanity can no longer hide behind ignorance. We must ask what role we play in a universe that may be teeming with intelligence. For some, that thought inspires wonder. The idea that we are not alone brings hope of connection, of learning from civilizations far older and wiser. For others, it brings fear. If they are so advanced, then we are powerless before them. If they can shadow a Blackhawk without effort, what could they do if they chose to? The balance between awe and dread will define how humanity responds in the coming years. Even our understanding of history could change. Some researchers argue that encounters like this have been happening for centuries, perhaps millennia, recorded in myths and paintings, dismissed as folklore until now. If that is true, then the Blackhawk video is not the beginning but the latest glimpse of a long, hidden story. A story in which humanity has always been under observation. That possibility could rewrite not just science, but history itself. The soldier who released the footage may never fully understand the impact of his decision. In risking his career, he opened a door that may never close again. He forced the world to confront evidence too clear to ignore, and in doing so, he became part of a global turning point. The Blackhawk UFO video is no longer just a piece of evidence. It is a catalyst, one that accelerates disclosure, reshapes military priorities, and alters humanity's sense of place in the cosmos. In the long run, the footage will be remembered not for what it proved, but for what it demanded answers. Answers about our skies, our governments, and our universe. Whether those answers bring comfort or fear, one truth is now undeniable: the mystery is real, and it is no longer hidden. The Blackhawk UFO video is more than just another clip of strange lights in the sky. It is a turning point. Captured by a soldier on duty, using military equipment, and backed by radar, it cannot be brushed aside as illusion or rumor.